Hello everyone, welcome to this webinar about the Clinical Practice Guidelines Working Group. So our main aim in this webinar is to present the new key issues we are developing currently in the group. So first thing, we are going to talk something about the training. Afterwards, we will go through the outcomes, protocol questions, and how the development of the guideline is currently. So first of all, the training, if you remember, we had planned two trainings. One was in Madrid during the 26th and 27th of February, and the other one in Bergamo on the 6th of March. So the first one was 2 days training, 8 hours, and we went through all the issues about how to develop clinical practice guidelines from the very first stages with the systematic review until the final summary of findings tables. The second one was held in Bergamo. We were there 5 persons, and the training was exactly the same. The only issue was we reduced the time from 8 hours to 6 hours, but the contents were similar. From these both trainings, we have been preparing tutorials to prepare an online training. So we are currently working on these tutorials. We have prepared 7 out of 13 so far, and will be available in April. In relation to the outcomes, we have been piloting a list of outcomes from clinical doctors here in Hospital La Paz in Madrid. The main objective was to get insight about the ranking of the outcomes. The results of the pilot were a list of pilots in a certain order, so all the medical doctors from some specialties, not all of them, were assigning each of the outcomes one ranking. So next steps would be to go for 2 more rounds, but this time, instead of using only medical doctors here from La Paz, we will go through all the collaborators and centers. The idea is to reach a consensus and finally write the manuscript to be submitted to a journal. So the issues, we are going to prepare all the methodological issues for these rounds, and the idea is at the end of this process of consensus to write down a manuscript. The first round will be held remotely. That means we will be sending all of you a ranking of outcomes, a definition of outcomes, and we need to have some consensus about that. The second round will be face-to-face in the board in Madrid in May. And then the objective in the face-to-face meeting would be reduce and categorize outcomes into critical and important outcomes. So finally, with the final result of this second round, we will have a list of outcomes defined and categorized in these 2 categories. In relation to the protocol, there's no formal repository of protocols from guidelines, so we are going to register each of the systematic reviews. In our case, the first one will be registered soon in Prospero. The protocol of the whole guideline will be developed as well, but is not going to be registered anywhere. The main goal of the protocol is the definition of panel. About the questions, the first question we are going to start to review is which are the toxicities and adverse events of immunosuppression treatments for children transplantation. The eligibility criteria would be population from 0 to 18 years old with a transplantation of solid organs and bone marrow. The intervention will be any therapeutic strategy of immunosuppression treatment at any stage of the transplantation process. That means pre, during the surgery, and post. The comparator would be any or no, because the studies we are going to include are going to be any design apart from cases, single cases and cases series. Then we can face some cohort studies with only 1 cohort. So we are not going to state any comparator. And the outcome, we are going to, so far, to admit any outcome, because we have a list of questions, and some of these new questions would include some new outcomes. We prefer to do a whole and inclusive systematic review at this stage, and then we'll we will go through all the data extracted and finding all different outcomes. So this is the timeline for the guideline development. So the week 0 would be the first week of April, because we are now dealing with some issues about the license of Covidence. So we propose start on the first week of April, but it will depend on the license process. This first stage would be around 1 week, the searches and record compilation. Then all the information would be uploaded into Covidence. This time, both screening will be developed. The first one, about 3 weeks, doing the screening by title and abstract. Then the screening full text would take probably something else, 3 or 4 weeks. And you can see all the tasks. You see that risk of bias and quality assessment, they have an overlapping of the first 4 weeks. This is because we can do at the same time, so we can gain some time. And you see all the process will take probably until November, end of October, first week of November. This is the initial timeline, so could depend on the review disponibility and everything. So we think to have a final version to circulate and probably to have ready for final inspection by the end of October. So the idea is to work on the design of the first stages during this week and next week, and send mails with the timelines, all the people that is going to participate at any stage, and also with instructions for reviewers. So far, the reviewers would be mainly from here, from the Hospital La Paz, and also the people that has been trained so far, Emanuele, Daniela, or Lorenzo. So Mara also. So all the people that has been trained would participate in this first question. That means that all of you interested in participate, but those persons that have been now trained, from next week onwards, you can do all the tutorials and you can participate in the following questions. So I think we are going to have enough questions for everyone. So everyone who wants to be involved in the systematic review and guideline process, I'm sure they can do it. So this is all the things we have in mind. So now if any of you have any question.